So I consulted a few property agents, and later then I realized that property agents, they have their own agenda and their own motives, so their advice are not necessarily in my best interest of heart. So if I had this guide before I first started making my first property purchase, then I would have made a wiser decision. Hello, my name is Sandra. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about things that you can consider before making your first property purchase. 2 to 3 years ago, when I first made my property purchase, I was equivalent to a lost sheep. I didn't know what to do, what to consider, how to even start getting my first property. So I'm making this video to share my insights and my knowledge with you guys, and hopefully you will be able to make a wiser property decision. Okay, so before you first go into deciding what kind of property you want to buy and making your first property purchase, of course you have to think about whether you are making this property purchase for investment or for own stay. Own stay meaning you are intending to stay in that property by yourself, with your partner, or with your future kids. And if you are thinking of doing that, then you have to think about whether the area has a good primary school within 1 kilometer for your kids in the future. Yeah, that's for own stay. For the investment aspect, then you have to consider, let's say if you are renting out the property, you have to consider whether the rental income will be sufficient to cover your mortgage, and whether in a few years time when you're letting go of this property, whether or not the property can meet your requirements, and whether or not the appreciation, capital appreciation is sufficient to perform equally or even outperform the stock market. Yeah, so this is investment. You don't necessarily have to choose one of the two. I think you can go into this decision with both in mind. However, I think that having the investment aspect for every property purchase is very important, because you never know in the future what kind of life changes you might have, and if this happens, you might want to sell and buy a property in another area or upgrade. You never know. Although, let's say now you are very certain that I'm going to stay in this area until I die, but you never know. In the future, things might change. So having investment aspect to every property purchase that you buy, I feel is very important, because when life changes, you want to sell the property, at least there will be good capital appreciation and a good exit strategy for each of your property purchase. So investment aspect is very important. Don't buy just for own stay. This is my first advice. Yeah, in order to choose a good property for investment, you have to take into account, okay, are the other properties in the area, the rental fetching sufficient amount to cover your mortgage? Second, are the properties around your area appreciating well? Are the people that are selling the properties around your area, are they selling it at an amount where they can profit well enough? And third, are there sufficient people in your area that are going to buy the property from you when you are intending to sell it in a few years' time? Yeah, this is called the exit strategy, or the buyer pool. Yeah, so these are the 3 things that you have to consider to buy a good property, whether for own stay or investment. That's my point of view. Of course, if you're buying only for own stay, you don't care about investment, you have a lot of money, you don't care if you lose money in the future when you sell your property, then go ahead, buy whatever property catches your fancy. Yeah. So of course, there are 2 main types of property that you can buy: HDB versus condo. And of course, to make the decision easier is look at your age and whether you have someone to buy with, a partner to buy with, for example. If you have a partner to buy with, you are young, not enough cash yet, then of course the obvious choice is to go for HDB BTO. HDB BTOs are generally safe to buy because they are heavily subsidized by the government. When you intend to sell it in a few years' time, guaranteed to make a profit. However, right now, you have to be careful because the government newly introduced this Plus and Prime model, and the MOP period for these Plus and Prime models are longer, 5 years, 10 years. So you have to think about within these 5 years and 10 years, what is the opportunity cost, whether or not the area I stay, can I tolerate it for 5 years, 10 years, and whether I will be intending to upgrade within these 5 years to 10 years. Yeah, I think these are things you have to consider. Yeah. Let's say you are young, you don't have a partner, then no choice, you have to go for a condo purchase. Yeah. And a condo purchase is all that I mentioned earlier, things that you have to consider in order to make a good private property purchase. The next thing you have to consider is to see what is the quantum that you can afford. So approach any bank, mortgage finance people to calculate your in-principle approval. They will take into account your income, your liabilities, and then they will tell you what is the amount of loan that the banks are willing to loan you. My advice for this is, let's say if the bank say they are able to loan you an X amount, please do not loan X amount. Please give yourself enough sufficient buffer. Let's say they are willing to loan you $2 million. Don't go and loan $2 million. Give it at least a 15 to 20% buffer. So yeah, let's say it's X amount, you take X minus 15 to 20%. Then loan that amount instead. Don't loan up to X amount, because you will find out that in the future you will feel a bit strained on your finances. 50%, loaning up to 50 to 55% of your monthly salary to go into your monthly mortgage, it's not a laughing matter. It's actually quite a high financial commitment. Yeah, so if you can reduce the loan amount, yeah, it will feel much more easy for you to afford that purchase. And making a property purchase is a happy and huge event in your life. It should not make you feel burdened. Yeah, although there are a few influencers that will say that it's not wise to purchase condo, they are going for HDB, they put the rest of money in the stock market, and stock market can appreciate faster than the property market. But I think that if you choose a good condo and you don't overstretch your finances, I think it's not an unwise move. Yeah, you might even beat the usual property market returns. However, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Yeah. So buying a property, you have to consider what is your intention, own, stay, or investment. Please make sure that you consider what is your plan in life in the next few years, whether or not you plan to move or plan to upgrade. And then do your research on the area, whether or not the area is performing. And then of course find out what is the property and the loan that you can afford. Don't overstretch yourself. Do the loan amount and minus at least 15 to 20%. Yeah. And of course, if you want a affordable option, then HDB BTO's best way to go. Okay, then see you guys. I will talk more about property in my next few videos, so follow and subscribe.